Hi, and welcome to Visibility Unlimited and Visibility Unlimited, the Spotlight, the video portion of the podcast, Visibility Unlimited. I'm Leslie Short, your host and the owner of the Cavu Group. Today's guest is speaking about a topic that you all seem to really jump in and dive in. And I originally wanted her to be part of that conversation, but the universe does what it does. And I'm excited to be able to speak to her not only on evolving in the spotlight, but also about her new book that she's coming out. So, everyone, welcome Traci Saulsberry.
Yay. Thank
Yay!
you.
Listen, Tracy, you've had a really good, amazing, I don't want to say fun, but fun in the outlook of it, right? Career. You come from communications. Just tell us a bit about where you've come from, and we're going to talk about why this topic is so dear to you as well.
Yeah, I started at NBC right out of college. I was in college taking my last midterm and or whatever they're called, finals.
Okay.
I'm so far gone. I'm like, what are
I
those
know.
things?
Whatever those things are.
Yeah, the last test. And I got a call from NBC saying that I got the job and I started as a coordinator in the publicity department and just rose the ranks. I really loved publicity. It was sort of everything that I liked in one.
Mhm.
And it was also a really great place for me to enact perfectionism. There was like a version of being like the perfect employee that I really tried to embody, and moved up really fast, moved around NBC Universal, became a VP at 27, leading the unscripted team. So working on shows like The Voice and AGT. And then from there became SVP and later led the Peacock team, the originals publicity team, and was there right before launch and built that team and had a master class in PR. And then eventually it was time to get off the train. And then I had a whole identity crisis of who am I? Because my whole identity had really become, that role. And I had to figure out who I was after that, which is what This Is How You Love Her, the book is about.
And yeah, and I definitely want to get into the book, but that was the topic of conversation. What happens after the titles,
Yeah.
right? This is now the same thing, but how do we evolve from that title to stepping into the spotlight? When you now become your product, your brand, because you started an agency.
Yep.
Now, even though you have people that you are working for and you're still pushing them out, you have to sell yourself.
Yeah, which is the hardest part. Like so much of, I think being a good publicist is being in the background. It's telling other people's stories. I mean, one of my friends the other day was like, your wardrobe is so black. Like you have so many black clothes. And I'm like, because part of the role was to like dissolve.
And
And
then
yeah, it's just to
in the
blend
back.
in. Yeah, and not to not stand out. And so it has been a challenge and still is. I mean, I think that's like a really big point that I try to like double tap on even when I'm coaching clients. It's like growth is a journey. You're constantly growing and it's you never have it fully figured out. So I am still figuring out like how do I step into the spotlight and be okay with people looking at me. You know?
And I think it's different than imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I think
I
imposter syndrome is why am I here? I shouldn't be here. I'm not good enough to be here. This is I'm here, I've earned it, but oh Lord, that look, I'm the one that now needs to speak up, which
yeah.
is a little different than I don't belong here and have to speak up.
Yeah. And I have to speak up as myself. Like there's something different than it's like, okay, if you give me a box and you tell me like how I need to fit within the box,
Mhm.
that's sort of easier to do. But the second you remove that, which is like removing a title and saying, okay, now step in the spotlight and be yourself while you're doing it, like that is a lot more challenging. And I've had to spend a lot of time figuring out, okay, who am I in order to even feel comfortable? Um, with standing in the spotlight and being seen and visible.
I think there's so many people, clearly a lot of women, but I think men are going through, I think people are going through it in this time of not so many jobs being gone and not having that title, not knowing which way they go. Now, some will stay within the confines of the box and go along the trail and get back into another box. And then there's people like you, because I can't say like in you, because I've been out of that box for, I don't think I was really ever in a box.
That's good.
So I really never was. So to really say, now I will embrace this and grow in it, because embracing it and saying this is where I am now and don't realize that growth, as you said, still has to come with it. You really have to get to that realization.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you get there? I know you're still getting there, but how did you get there?
A lot of journaling, which and really spending time with myself. And I say dating myself, which like felt uncomfortable to say for like a really long time too. But like asking myself simple questions that really had nothing to, that on its face had nothing to do with like career or anything like that. It's like as simple as, what do you like to eat? Like, what do you like to do on a Sunday? What's your favorite color? Kind of like even those surface level questions that you ask someone when you're getting to know them. And then that opened the door for me to go deeper into knowing myself and asking myself sort of like the bigger questions. What do I want out of life? What does my life look like? And a lot of spending time with myself. And then I started to create an I am statement from that, and that helped me. It's something that I wish I would have had when I was in like a traditional corporate role. And I always say, like, I don't know, would I have been successful in that corporate space? But I don't know. I don't know if you can still reach that, but I know that I would have felt better with how I presented myself and
Right.
how I showed up. So
But so well, let's break that down a little bit. When you
yeah,
are in a corporate setting, when you're in those worlds, which is, is what I consult in, and I do say to people, it's okay to say I am. They don't want you to say I am and I'm going to be. That's the
yeah.
difference.
Oh, I like, yeah, yeah,
So, but I think you need to know, and I will say this every time, who you are. And when you do PR, especially, and as you know, we both have, you're so busy asking someone else, what is it you want to be?
yeah,
What's your goals? What do you want to achieve out of this? What's your, if you could have anything out of this project or what you're doing, what is that? Because that's what I'm going to go work on.
yep,
And when you sit down on that sofa on Sunday, you're so busy trying to fill in their blanks, you don't even realize yours is nothing but blanks.
yep, yes. Yes. And I used to have my team do, and I think about this often. I used to have my team write sort of like their like mission statement or like a statement of how, but the way that I said it to them was like, how do you want to be perceived? Because corporate America is very much, it's like the world. It's like high school or college. Like once people determine who you are, it's hard to get outside of how they've label
Perceive you.
you and perceive you.
Yeah.
So I would have them write on like a paper and put it on their desk, like how they wanted to be perceived. And I think the way that I would do that differently now is because that's still about how someone else
Else is seeing you.
seeing you. And even if you write that statement of how you want to be perceived, I would have them now write an I am statement of like, how do you see yourself?
Right.
Because that's then how people will receive you or perceive you. But it should start with you, not like how you want to be envisioned.
Absolutely. We had to do a group project when I was in seminary. I am not really the group project girl. So, I'm looking at all these people and it's international. And we have all these different languages. And, you have the 5 people that's going to take charge and everybody else is kind of like along. I got so mad. I said, you know what we're all going to do? Everyone's going to do I am. Everyone
Mm,
start with I am. And you fill in your blanks and then send it in on this date and then we'll put it together.
hmm
And so I was like all excited. I even have speaking engagements about I am and how I started. But it was really interesting because most people, of course, with seminary, I am a child of God or I am this or that. But I'll never forget the guy next to me said, I am a Twinkie. He was Korean.
Oh,
So he's like, I'm yellow on the outside, but I've been raised sort of that.
oh
And
wow. I was like,
so
wait, I don't get it. I got
so
it.
people really went in so many different directions, but they had to reflect. You
Yep.
just couldn't say, I'm here and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
had to think about who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I being perceived as?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know? And
Yep.
oh, with your before I'm sorry, I'm like fighting not to get to the book yet. Uh, um, so what have you learned about yourself on this journey and into the writing? And then we get into that.
Yeah. I've learned about myself. I mean, I've learned those little things about myself, like in the dating myself, which then made me root for myself more, like want to make my dreams come um alive in a way that I don't know that I quite did before. But in my I am statement, I say that I am a quiet storm. And even in the act of writing the I am statement, I've just accepted, you know, myself. And ultimately, what I arrived at the end was a level of self love that I didn't have before. And I think that um, is so important. Because it's so much of the decisions I made became from like a lack of self worth, and I didn't even realize that. Um, and so ultimately, I've learned to love myself.
And is that where the title has come from? This is how you love her.
Yeah. Yep. That is, there was so many titles, but ultimately, as I've learned from many writers, that
That
sometimes happens.
happens.
Yeah. But when I got to the end of, I wrote it all and like submitted it and was still like working through the title. And I just like tried to break it down. Like, what is this book? Like, if this has elements of self-help and memoir, ultimately it's the journey of like how you love her yourself. And I also love love. And so I really wanted that to be in the title. And there's something really powerful for me that it's about self-love too, and not about like the love of some boy.
That part. That part. No, and it's funny because you say there's many titles, and we think about that in the context for what we speak about at work, and then you start writing a book, and I don't know how many people stay with their original titles. I'm sure some do. Most of the stories you hear don't. My first book, the title was changed because it was confusing to the salesman.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they actually chose my tagline to the business. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's great. And even this new one,
Yeah.
it was changed. But it's so funny for me not to be the title girl. I need the title to write the book.
Mm. But and then it becomes something because like mine was originally called This Is I'm no, it's not. It's called This Is How You Love Her. It was called Inside a Black Girl's Journal
Mm,
because I think that I show pages from my journal in the book, and that's where I found myself, and that's how it started.
right,
But as I wrote, it evolved to be more. So I think, yeah, you need some maybe title to start.
right.
And then, but as you go on, the title changes and being okay with that. Just like, I started as a corporate girl and being okay with my title evolving has been a journey and like not a linear one. I tried
Right.
to go back to that life
Mhm.
so many times because it was comfortable. And
Right.
guess what? It might happen again. Like,
Right.
and
Because we
that's
don't
not
know
to
what this
say
world
that,
is bringing.
yeah. And that's not to say that like you can't return to
Right.
old titles. You don't have to completely leave them. But I do know that when I re-enter the next time or whatever next iteration, I will be different.
And that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
See, because, and that's what everyone needs to hear. It's okay to go back. It's okay. And it doesn't, I don't even mean to go back to the same company, into the same world. as long
Yeah,
as you understand who you are walking into the world. Because I don't
exactly.
care how you left it, you're not the same person. Or
Exactly.
I don't want to say I hope you're not. I hope you've been able to grow, learn something good, bad, and different because the world has shifted. So even if you have the same values and core, we are who we are to our core, but the world has shifted. And have you shifted with it so that now you get to present yourself in the way that you see yourself and how you want others to see you as you walk back in?
Yep, exactly. And I, I thought, I've always loved creative writing and I love painting and like there's just this whole creative side to me, but I also really love like corporate structure work. Like we are many parts. Tori Roberts has said before, like I'm a highway of many lanes. Like, so I think before I didn't think that I could be that highway of many lanes. I thought I had to stay in one lane. And if I, if and when if I ever do go back into that lane in like a more corporate structure, I would be excited to try out being all parts of myself. And I would look for opportunities that gave me the chance to do that. And that goes back to like when you get to know yourself, then you know what environments to put yourself in. And yeah,
But then that means you're really stepping into leadership.
yeah,
Because for me, that's what leadership is about. It's
yeah,
understanding that there may be a goal that everyone is reaching to, but that there are many lanes to get there. And how do you use the best of yourself as the leader and the best of your team and what they give to get there?
yep,
So when you step back in, you step in as a stronger leader.
yep, yep,
And so many people forget that because they only think about themselves at that point. I'm like, well, if you're going to step into that leadership role, think about how you're going to bring all of that with you for yourself and for those around you. And
yep,
that's where our change is really being made.
yep.
So tell me more about your book, why you decided to write it when you did.
Yeah. I
What's,
left corporate and was like trying to figure out where I was going to go next and had time. And so I was like, I'm going to try to write that book that I've always wanted to write.
right.
And I started writing, and it was actually a very different book. It was very traditional, prescriptive, self help, sort of like where I was at that time. And also, like, again, trying to fit into a box of what I thought, like, that book should look like. But I just began writing and eventually I got to a point where I'm like, oh, I think I have something. And reached out to a president of this publishing company on LinkedIn, told her, never met her, just like, I have this idea. I think it's really good. Here's my like one sentence about what it's about. It was a Friday. Surprisingly, she responded and was like, let's talk Monday, which like wasn't expecting, but I chatted with
Okay.
her. She connected me with an editor who I worked with, thought I was getting a massive book deal, ended up connecting me instead with an agent who then I wrote proposals sent out, and I ended up going with a whole nother publisher. But Abrams, who just make beautiful like art books, and I wanted this book to feel sort of artsy, and found an editor that just really got me. But then the book like sort of shifted after, and
That's
became,
normal.
yeah, and it became, in talking about no confines and boxes and titles. At one point, which I do write about in the book, my editor said, just be free. Like I was sending in, you have deadlines, and I was sending in some of my work, but I was being an
Proper.
editor, like
Proper.
rereading everything and trying to make it perfect before I sent it. And I turned in like 16 pages, and she was like, you're going to have to
What is this?
write more than this if we're going to get to the end of the book. And she told me to just be free. And that was the hardest
Mhm.
thing I think I've ever heard in my life. I
Right.
cried, like, because I was just like, free. No, I need,
What mean?
tell me what to do. Give me like the lanes to stay in.
Right.
And that really bred this book, That Freedom. And I just began to write. And so there's like three timelines to the book. One, which is my past, me looking back just on my journey. And then one is my journey to finding myself, which is kind of like an eat, pray, love domestic version. Like, I didn't go to Bali, but that's part of it, is like staying
Right.
where you are, finding yourself at home. And then another timeline is the present and me writing it, where I'm sort of contending with everything I'm saying that I learned. So I'm telling real life, like, figuring out if I actually do know myself. Like I'm telling people that I did learn on this journey. And so that's also the part where I'm showing that growth it's a journey. You think you have it figured out, and then you're presented with another opportunity that
Stretches you.
yep, and asks you to look at it again, and you learn it all over again or in a new way.
Right.
So yeah, it's not really traditional in how it's written. There's like scripts in there that I wrote, there's poems, there's journal entries, but I wanted people to just see sort of the messy journey of finding yourself, and that it's imperfect. That's what I needed to hear.
And I think that's exactly what it is. I may change our title. It's imperfectly perfect. Like
Mm,
it's okay to just let it go. My first deal, when I said to him, okay, how do you want, what's the structure? And, guideline something. He was like, oh, I sent you the guidelines. He's like, just go right. I was like, what do you mean just go right? He goes, go right. I was like, okay, you don't have to tell me twice. Like you never have to say, go do something freedom for me. My whole life's been that in a sense of I'm going to go in the direction that I think is best for me. So I was like,
Beautiful.
okay, cool. And this poor woman that I was working with, she's not an editor, but she oversees everything before you get to the editors.
Yep.
And she was laughing because same thing, turning things in, but she was just like, so clearly you're not going to go by our guidelines. And I loved her for that because she saw me and she was just like, here's what I'm going to give to you. Pick the top 10 things that in your life that you enjoy. Let's just start there because you're not the guideline girl. That's not going to
Yep.
work for you. And I was like, absolutely, it will not.
Yep.
And so with all of that in our journeys of living and growing, you do need to know who you are and how you work best. And it doesn't mean you can't stay in the lines or you don't stay in the lines or that you can't go outside of the lines. You just have to know it's okay to do both
Yeah.
when
Yep.
necessary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like shown me too how I want to show up in all the parts of my life. And like I said, being okay with it. Like even in a corporate setting, I remember I was like a newer young executive, and I was in a meeting and we were presenting to like these big time executives. And before, some of the feedback that I had gotten was that I didn't speak up enough in rooms. And for me, that I remember in that moment, I was like, oh, that's not, I just don't talk just to talk. But when I talk, I add to a conversation. And we had this one big meeting and I did my thing because this was my time. I had something to say. I gave a presentation. And after, they were like, oh, Traci, that was so impressive. That was so great. And I'm like, I learned from that, oh, I need to tell you who I am. And I
Right.
didn't do that. I am, and I didn't come up with Quiet Storm until like a long time after that moment. But like, I don't speak just to hear my voice in a room. But when I do speak, I have something to add to a conversation. And I've learned, and especially like in a corporate, when you tell people that, they'll just repeat it back to you. That's PR, right? Like, or marketing. You say what
Right.
your show is, you tell people how to think about it. And so we have
Right.
to do the same things for ourselves. But first, we have to know who we are and be okay with it, and be okay with not being the loudest person in the room. And I remember I had an executive like years later, and they were new, and I was like, okay, this is my moment to like sort of let me try this out. And so I remember I told them, I was like, yeah, I'm a quiet storm. And I said like some other stuff. And the next day in a meeting, they were on the phone with someone and they're like, have you met Traci? She is a quiet storm.
Okay.
It
Thank
worked.
you.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. It is true, right? Because people don't know what to expect from you. I
Yeah.
said at a meeting like that, I was on a board And it was a board meeting, it was the first one, but they were speaking about how to market something and brand something. So that's my expertise. I'm assuming that's why you have me here. One of the reasons you have me on the board is because out of everyone sitting at the table, that's what I do. So I looked at the president at that time and I said, well, and I said, here's what I saw. Am I missing something? And after the meeting, he came to me. He's like, oh, I am so excited you spoke. I was like, oh, I'm new. Was I not supposed to speak? Like, you're just speaking to the wrong person. Like, I figured that's why I'm here. I'm not going to wait if I can be added value for something. We're on a board. That's what we're supposed to do. He's
Yep.
like, people just sit and wait to be called on. I
Hmm.
said, well, then you need to reevaluate the rest of the board then.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I wasn't looking at it that way. I'm like, because if you're supposed to be added value, then
Mhm.
I'm like you. If I don't have anything to say, I'm not going to say it. But if it's something in the world of what I know and I feel that it can be added value, it can contribute to something, then I'm not going to wait to be called on.
Yep.
And it's so funny because people will go to me and they're like, just you wait. She just don't worry. She has something to say. She's definitely gonna say it. But you do because otherwise people will decide who you are for them, never
Yes.
for you.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Michelle Obama says, if you don't get out there and define yourself, you will quickly and inaccurately be defined by others.
100%. And
Yep.
I think and we don't have to scream it. Some people's like, well, let's see, everyone can't be you. Everyone doesn't have the big personality. I was like, I never said I had a big personality. I'm just very clear on who I am. And I have no problem walking into a room and owning it if I need to. I don't need approval to be there. That's the
Yep.
difference. I
Yep.
said, but you can decide how it works for you. And that's why I always say live out loud, whatever that means to you.
Hmm. Yep.
Because if you don't, someone else will decide that for you, and you will be sitting in a cubicle for the rest of your days,
Yeah.
or fighting for titles or fighting for money or whatever that is.
Or, yeah. And trying to change the minds of what someone has already determined is you, or you're making, which is part of what happened to me, you're making decisions based on a version of you that someone else that's good for someone else of you, and it's not good for you, or like you don't know if it's good for you because you don't know who you are because you haven't spent time to ask yourself that.
Right.
And that's my biggest thing. It's like there's no like cautionary tale of going into corporate, like go run up the ladder, get there, but like
Right.
do it and know who you are when you're there so that you're doing it as yourself.
Don't lose yourself. Well, find yourself and then don't lose yourself,
Exactly.
depending on what level you're walking in as.
Yep, yep, yep. And keep searching for yourself because every day you wake up, you're different. There's I'm gonna butcher his name, and I just had to say it in my audiobook. Tick Tick Not Han.
Oh,
But talks about like impermanence and that we are like the river or the ocean, and like every time we're constantly changed. Like even in this conversation, life is changing, we are changing, the moment has changed. And so you have to keep trying to find yourself, keep trying to answer that question of who am I? Because you said earlier, like everything's always evolving. The industry is evolving, whatever industry you're in, you're evolving, life's evolving. You got to keep looking.
keep moving. What do you want people to take away from the book?
I so in this early phase, there's been parts of this book that have resonated with like some early folks who have read it, which I had not even anticipated would be the thing that stuck out. And so
Right.
I hope that um not to get too spiritual, but like this book has felt like it's meant to happen and it's beyond me. Like I just had to surrender and like also be in service of what my assignment was. And so I think that there's something in here for whoever picks up this book, there's something in here that is meant to direct them on their path to finding out more of themselves or more of who they are. And so I hope that who's ever meant to read this book finds it, and that whatever they're meant to find in it, that they find. And um, I mean, my general hope is that everyone who reads it walks away with a love for themselves that they didn't have before, or a deeper love for themselves, or a deeper understanding of themselves. But I had a friend the other day say he wants to like dissolve into his purpose. That's like his goal. And like, I hope that this book helps people dissolve into their purpose.
It's really about, when I listen to you and I think it's identity. Who are we? And if anyone's confused, pull out every photo that they've had of themselves, or even every work ID photo or driver's license, and see how you've evolved.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be, because I feel, you know, we all have a purpose here on this earth.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're called to do different things, and how you want to show up. You really get to decide that.
Yes. And
Mm.
I hope that people can find the practice of journaling, and it sort of takes away the intimidation that's sometimes around it. I know sometimes looking at a blank page is like, what am I supposed to say? What do I write? And it's like, it could be half sentences, it could be a whole dissertation, like it could be, um, whatever way helps you get closer to yourself. But also the other day, like you were saying, the IDs, I I just put on my phone a lot and like record myself talking to myself. And that was one of the ways that I journaled and found more of myself. I had spent so long projecting other people's voices that
Mhm.
like I really didn't know what my voice sounded like, both like literally and in the broader sense. And so a large part of how I had initially started on Instagram was talking. I was really just talking to myself, but I wanted to hear what my thoughts were. And like, I wanted to push myself to stand in the spotlight and have like people see me saying it. But I found some of like the old videos in my phone the other day, and it was like only 3 years ago.
Right.
And my voice sounded so different to me. And something in like hearing myself and seeing myself only 3 years ago,
Right.
um, I could like see the growth that I'm in now from where I was. And so I also think that's a cool practice for people. Like, I don't know, sometimes it could be seen as whatever, but like just putting on a camera and like talking, like vlogging,
Right. I
even if
love
it
that.
stays in your phone. Yeah.
So, how do we stand in this spotlight? Right. And what I say about spotlight is that spotlights move. There's a spotlight operator.
Mm.
And so I'm going to go back from me being on stage. It moves along with you. So a spotlight is not stagnant. Most people think the spotlight is right there. It is not. It follows you. That is the job of that human being behind that machinery. How do we do that? And as I said, we, not only you, because I'm putting myself in that one. How do we do that and have clients, continue to have clients, continue to work for others as we work for ourselves?
That is a great question that I am still balancing. And old parts of myself creep in. The other day, I was gonna post something where I was like speaking, and I was like, "Oh, should I do it now?" Because then like a client might see, and then I quickly like quieted those thoughts, and I was like, "No, this is the life that I am building for myself intentionally. This is what I discovered that I wanted after hours of sitting with my journal, me and myself, asking myself questions. And so if anything doesn't accept that of me, then it's not meant to move in the spotlight with me or wherever they are within the spotlight. They are meant to be
I
there.
love that. All right.
And so because one promise that I've made to myself is to not, I don't need to diminish parts of myself for other elements of my life to exist. And if something is asking me to do that, then it probably doesn't fit within my life. which goes back to like spending time with yourself, figuring out what you want, and like having confidence and in that. And I've seen that like it does work. Like then I have clients who are like excited about my book or like somewhere that I'm talking or who are coming or who are then helping spread the word and connecting me with other
Support.
people. Yeah. And I haven't ran into a space that doesn't allow all of me yet, though I'm sure it'll come up. And like I said, then it'll just fall off.
It will fall off. I will say that.
Yeah.
Do you have your book there? Will you please share for those that are watching that they will be able to see it? It is beautiful. This is how.
This is how you love her. This is the advanced copy. So the one on August 4th will look different. And this is like, I keep it in my purse. I carry it with me everywhere. It's like my
As you should.
so it's a little.
It's fine. It is
That's the
fine.
best books when they're worn and you.
100%. That's how you know you're using it and reading it
Yeah.
and going back to it. And I hope my wish for you along this journey is that every now and then you actually open it up and read pieces for yourself and that you sit back and you smile
Oh,
and you honor yourself. Because what we don't do, one is women, one is Black women, one is because we're always running. We don't take the time to say, wow, that was an amazing moment at that time. Not
mhm.
on judgment. Oh, I should have done that. I could have done that better. I should have called. Wow. So with as you begin your journey on promoting the book, I know you're on it, but when you really start getting out there and everyone's pulling and tugging, take a moment to just flip through it again and smile.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
I will definitely do that and remember that. Thank you.
Yes. So Tracy, where can everyone find you and where can they find the book?
You can find me on Instagram, just Traci Saulsberry, and then I'm a fan of LinkedIn. Um, yeah, especially for all the corporate folks. I like LinkedIn. And then my book, anywhere books are sold, but if you go to Abrams Books, they have all the places where you can buy the books. And so, yeah.
Wonderful. Lovely shot. I want to thank you so much. I'm so happy. Like I said, we connected when the universe said it was our time to connect. And when
Yeah.
folks are going, well, what does that mean? It means that I reached out to her in her DMs. I've never really reached out to people in the DMs, but I saw something that she said and I was like, oh, I want her to be part of this panel. And
And I didn't even know DMs existed. So I looked at it like so long
threads.
later.
But when we connected, it was like we had known each other. It was the right time to have these conversations. And I am so excited for you and your book. I look forward to reading it and hopefully see you in LA when I'm out there.
Yes, please, and do an event for like both of our books.
Yes, we're gonna
Your
figure that
book.
out. We're definitely gonna figure out what event we're doing. Somebody, if you're out there and you would like to host us
Yes, hostess.
for dinner in August or lunch or a talk, reach out to us. We both know there's DMs and threads.
Now we know.
Now we know, or LinkedIn
Yep.
for both of us. So thank you, Tracy, for your time, for your energy, all of that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, as you know, I'm Leslie Short, your host. This is Visibility Unlimited, the spotlight video portion and the podcast. You can find this at the Cavu group, YouTube, and across all social media. I want to say thank you, and I look forward to being with you all again soon. Take care. Bye now.